Just warning up gas today. 30 seconds.
Who messes with my deal?
And KHMC Magic 95 assumes no responsibility for its content, and the Wade and Carter Show bears all responsibilities for their opinions and guests on their show.
We'll recap the election. The Wade and Carter streak continues. We'll fact check Bill Posey. All that and more coming up on today's Wade and Carter Show.
So why do you use number 3?
That's this mic here.
So it's 1, 2, 3. We just like to use these 2 mics.
I see.
They give us a more uniform look. Black is slimming.
As I'm in my Adidas car cover.
I miss your sheepskin car seat cover, though.
Remember this?
They kept you cool in the summer and hot in the winter.
And they never stunk.
No,
The
never.
sheepskin car seat covers.
Reminiscing here on the day after.
The jihadist prom date car seat cover.
Oh, how are you this morning?
Fantastic. I'm excited. I'm excited about 4 more years of President Trump. I'm confident that at some point Biden will be awakened and stimulated and told to come out and concede that this election has been won by President Trump. I stayed up as late as I could, 9:30. As the polls were closing in California, I was going to sleep.
Weekend at Biden's will end eventually.
No, I'm convinced. The latest I got was that the president, if he wins Pennsylvania, which apparently they've now called for the president.
Oh, have they? It only took him, all night and 700,000 votes?
He was up 700,000 votes. They hadn't called Pennsylvania, but they're going to keep counting. Wisconsin, I think, has a deal where you can send in ballots until the 10th, for real.
Well, I think they'll accept them up until the 10th. I don't think you can send. I think they had to be postmarked. Yes.
So all you have to do now is corrupt a post office box, right?
Yeah, more or less.
Just find a post.
Although there is one state, I don't remember which one because I was looking through the list of weird voting irregularities,
right?
And there is one state that actually accepts mail-in ballots today. It doesn't have to be postmarked yesterday. I think November 4th is their deadline.
So if you think you can make a difference, then you can go out and do it afterwards.
Yeah.
After the fact.
That just seems weird, doesn't it? That
Michael Jordan gets 2 free throws today to win the championship yesterday. He's only down 1. There's no time on the clock, but Michael Jordan gets 2 free throws.
With no crowd, he's just out there by himself.
Just by himself, nobody watching. He's going to self-report if the Bulls won another championship.
Let's do this.
Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the good folks at Deerland Feed. It's 48 degrees. The winter of 2020 just persists. Heading to a high today of, 80-something, 82.
For all your ag needs, all your feed needs, all your pet supplies, Deerland Feed is the place to go.
Perfect sunshiny day.
That was a beautiful, somewhat eerie but ominous red moon last night, and I called my wife and said, "Hey, come check out this moon. It's pretty cool."
It was the reflection from all the red states.
Well, and that's what Cheryl said. Is that a good omen? And I said, I hope so.
It's better than a blue moon.
It's almost
find you standing alone.
That's what she said too.
Right?
Yep, it would.
Folks, this is
it's not the only thing blue when you're standing alone.
This is live radio, folks. We don't script this.
Adam Daughtry says he'll call it Biden 1.
Did you hear Bill Posey this morning? It sounded like he worked for Arthur Anderson. It's just like, and in other news, 97% reporting, 37% for this, 26% for that, which is only a 3% upcharge from 1926. I'm like, Bill, what? The accounting firm of Posey and Posey. But what he told me was that in a county that has 92,000 people, this is all what we call for our magic friends, más o menos. 92,000 people. We have 58,000 registered voters, and only 34,000 of those people voted. So 58%. Now, here's what I find in the big stereotype. if you take 92,000 people in the county and you take out the 58,000 registered voters, that leaves you 34,000 people. Then you take out I'll go on the high side, 15,000 school-age children. They're not registered to vote. So we had 34,000, it's really more like 14,000 kids.
You're a little high.
So 92, take out 58, leaves 34. Take out the 14, which is the students. That's what we call VISD, roughly 14,000 kids. That leaves 20,000 people. What are they? They're folks that have never registered to vote in their lives and illegals. That's who it's got to be. That's all it can be, right? People that didn't register to vote, they're not school age.
Felons.
I guess they could be babies. Could be, yeah, well, that's true. There's that 18,200 felons, old people like Bill Posey. Yeah, But Bill's registered to vote. I mean,
well, he's just waiting. He's still waiting for his mail-in ballot to arrive.
Right.
That's the one thing. And before we get into the race,
late, they're pleading incompetence.
Before we get into the races, I've never. It kind of hit me yesterday. Oh, we're so afraid of COVID. We gotta be able to request our ballots early. So they extend mail-in voting in a lot of states.
And early voting was linked.
Early voting was linked
earlier.
And they allow you to request a mail-in ballot or an absentee ballot earlier than normal. So you're so responsible for your health and welfare and the safety of others to avoid contaminating somebody, maybe. But on the flip side of the coin, you're not responsible enough to mail it back in a timely fashion. So you want the rules to change once again for you.
Right.
Am I wrong with this? It just seems so absurd. I'm so responsible that I don't want to give anybody COVID and I don't want to expose myself to it because I'm scared of it. But I'm just going to let it sit on the counter for 6 months. Because I'm so responsible as a citizen, but I'm not responsible enough to fill the damn thing out and get it back in a timely fashion. You had, in some cases, a couple of months for the dang thing to arrive, and you couldn't turn it around. It was so important for you to get that ballot, but it wasn't so important enough for you to drop everything you're doing, fill it out, put a stamp. I don't even know that you had to stamp it.
The Canadians really get worked up about this deal.
And drop it in the mail that same day or the next day. And that just, I can't compute with that.
I understand.
It's so important to me, but it's not important enough to actually turn around and get it done and in on time. This year only. This has never been a problem for any other presidential election ever.
Your homework. It's not that hard. Canadians said they overwhelmingly would have voted for Joe Biden, which is why we're glad they're Canadians.
That's exactly
I got fact checked by the world's greatest neighbor inside the city limits, Tom Ennis, who said they have not actually called Pennsylvania for the president, even though he's up by 700,000 votes, because they have a million mail-in ballots. So
that's all. Well,
Biden's got to get 7 out of 10 for a push. Think about it. 7 out of 10, he still loses by 300,000.
Well, I mean, think about it. The polls and the left was all about, you got to believe the polls. You got to believe the polls.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if the left still wants to do away with the electoral college, because I think the popular vote was kind of favoring Trump overall, wasn't it?
Well, I have to look back. I didn't look this morning to see where that landed, but you got to believe the polls. The polls turned out to be wrong, but if you believe the polls,
here's a note from Kendall. Whoa, that escalated quickly. He just got all worked up, didn't he? But if you're just talking to him and he's like screaming at people that didn't do their mail-in ballot.
Conjuring up my Joe Biden from last night.
You think anybody who didn't take the time to do their mail-in ballot is up at 7 o'clock the next morning to listen to you rant?
No, they're still in bed.
Right.
They have no reason to get
in their Joe Biden footy pajamas.
But here's a guy, if you have to believe the polls.
That's what they say. Got to believe the polls.
He was down 12 points in Pennsylvania, according to some polls.
Should have called it himself.
But he's confident he's going to win Pennsylvania. If that doesn't just not compute properly, that's a little weird. I understand optimism. Wow, we're going to have to work hard. But to be that confident for a guy who doesn't even know where he is most of the time
makes you think he knows something you don't know.
That's kind of where I was going.
Like Barack told him he was going to win. Yeah. Let's see who's checked in this morning.
Andy Rea Jr. first went in on election day. Well, we're going to be saying that for weeks, if not months.
The election 2020, day 2.
Day 400.
Right?
Marvin Mickers, good morning. Amanda Smith King, Justin Glass, Scott Tomko, Judge Posey, BJ
morning, Judge.
Nelson says she's exhausted. It wore me out last night.
Yeah.
It did. I had my phone going, I had the TV going, I had like 3 different tabs open. It was
A couple of drinks.
crazy. I didn't, but I
You
did have
should
some.
have.
I did have some
Coffee.
key lime cake.
There you go. Sugar.
Yeah.
Your diabetes is going to kick
Yeah.
out.
C.W. Bean, David Glass.
Now, see, it doesn't show me that Kendall's in. It doesn't show me that T-Lat's in. You know T-Lat's in.
Michelle Wilson Hawkins, Scott Tomko, Matt Boucher, Chris Conrad, how are you? Lacey Dearlam Rosenquist, good morning to you, Lacey. I'll be back by this week.
During feed, that's awesome.
Jeremy Pena from Vider, Adam Sugar, Trump 1, just games at this point. Yep, there's Kendall.
There's Kendall.
Heather Monroe, Tom Price. We already talked about Adam Daughtry's trash talking. We won't get to that. Lisa Poole, James Kurth, Christina Wise, Kathleen Leininger.
So here's my take on the
Iceman, Madeline Mayer. Let's see, Stephanie Connie, Larry Leahy. We got a big crew in this morning.
A really big crew. Here's
Richard King, Torn Bales.
If I had to be one of them, knowing what I know right now, and even factoring in that I believe that if necessary, the Democrats wouldn't even flinch to cheat to win the election. I mean, I believe they would print ballots right now. I do. Even given that, I'd rather be Donald Trump right now with the comfortable leads that I have in the states that matter than Joe Biden praying that some of these ballots come in
and flip
for him and flip it. He's got to do a lot of flipping for $15 an hour
Yeah.
at McDonald's.
Joe McGraw, Sarah Dodson, Karen Webb, Kevin Myers. So before we get, we talked a little bit about national, but, Michael Cloud, congratulations to Michael Cloud. Wins handily over the poser.
Lois Colkhorst.
Jeannie Morrison. Jeannie Morrison pulls in 27,000 votes in Victoria County out of 34,000 people that cast a ballot this election. So she's obviously resonating not just with Republicans, but Democrats as well, because the numbers showed that it was about a 3-to-1 split who voted for the president and voted for Trump. I think 33,000 to 10,000 is roughly, give or take a few for the write-ins and what have you. But that was roughly so 3-to-1 there. That tells me that a lot of Democrats are voting for Jeannie Morrison. And that's good.
Yeah.
She's I think she's done
She
it.
transcends party. I think what I found to be a little bit embarrassing for the Democrats is that Ricky Della Fuente got 70-something thousand votes. The idea that somebody walked in and consciously voted against Michael Cloud blows my mind. It just blows my mind that a guy who doesn't live here, doesn't even claim that he wants to move here, puts his name on the ballot from California. And he lost 2-to-1. But the fact that some Democrat walked in and said, I'm going to vote for that De La Fuente guy because I ain't voting for that Republican, just shows me a Democrat with blinders on, no sense of space, no sense of being a Texan. To me, that was the only glaringly embarrassing thing. The fact that Joe Biden got 3 out of 10 votes in Victoria County, hey, more power to the Democrats. Way to mobilize your vote. Good job.
Ashley Hernandez wins county tax assessor collector. We're going down the list.
And that kind of puts the exclamation point on the long and
it's not over. I don't think.
Wonderful career of Rena Shear, who just said, hey, this is the person I think I would select. And the people say, we trust you, Rena. It's just a continuation of the trust that the county has had in Miss Shear. So hats off to Ashley Hernandez. I saw her standing in front of one of the polls yesterday waving a sign. Good morning, caller. Talk to us. Hello, Amy. How are things in Philly, sir? Are you safe?
How crazy is it in DC? Yeah, there's still time.
Well, you sent me a deal last night calling it, and that is when I went to bed. I said, okay, Andy knows he's watching the polls, and that's when I said I'm going to the rack. So I saw some interesting things. There's some riot gear involved in Philly. I saw a poll watcher, and they didn't mention party affiliation at all for the poll watcher, but the gentleman was just flat told, no, you can't come into the poll by two apparently well-meaning but uninformed, poll people in Philly. And I thought about you. I said, here, our guy is up there, and I wonder if this is part of his contingent being turned away. So what really happened is Andy
kicked the crap out of a few people, and then they backed off and let him in.
A corner bar and Ubered to DC in the middle of the night. That's what actually happened. He's like, he's in there throwing them back with union workers from Allentown, just kicking back, having a Bud Heavy.
Billy Joel's running through my head
right
now. So whereabouts are you in DC? Are you like right next to the White House? Where? Because I saw some video out of DC last night, late afternoon, early evening. They were erecting fences, barricades around the White House. I mean, there were 2 fences. There were a bunch of barricades in between. It was very, very eerie, almost chilling to see that kind of preparation in this country. Those are the types of things you expect to see in a banana republic who's holding one of their fixed elections, and they know the people aren't going to accept the results for the 85th time in a row that we've elected this despot when the people don't want this despot. It was that sort of bone-chilling eerie to me.
When we hold our rigged elections, we shouldn't have to have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the cocaine. Yeah, you might get beat up. Yep. Well, I think you will see swift action, Andy. If the president's confirmed, I wouldn't be surprised to hear him make an announcement. If there's rioting and looting, we're going to put you down in the street. We ain't got time for it. I think it would be terrible. I can hear the outrage. I can see the parents wailing in the streets and all that because their kid got shot at some riot.
Be a parent, don't let your kid out.
Be a parent, tell your kids, don't go down to the riot because you might get shot. And that's, I got no problem with the National Guard being set free to just eliminate this kind of garbage in our cities. One of the main functions to me of the federal government is to protect the citizenry, and that certainly includes the folks that have businesses to run. I don't like the idea of and then you hear people say this is about reparations because they got insurance money. It'll all come back to them. That's wrong, man.
Christina Wise says she's embarrassed our country has to go to these extremes to protect during a free country election.
And I don't know how much of that, if I try, Andy, how much of that can I blame on Donald Trump? How much of that is Donald being divisive and so in the face of, it would not surprise me if he got up to the podium and said, neener, 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 I beat Creepy Joe. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he did that. Can he be part of the healing process over the next 4 years?
Will he?
Right. Right.
How much? Yeah. How much deflection is it when we keep hearing the Democrats yell, Trump's going to call election fraud, he's going to take this to the Supreme Court? It'll be interesting to see if this is a close victory for President Trump, re-election for President Trump, if they're the ones that start claiming the fraud. Because I heard it this morning on an interview, somebody already accusing the extended voting rules, I think in Pennsylvania, as gerrymandering for the Republicans. It's interesting that's the term that gets used when they want to spin it for the Republicans, but it's voter rights and protecting your democracy when the Democrats try to change up voter laws.
Right.
Definitely.
Well, I'll be curious to see how it goes. I do think it's paramount that early in this second term, the president turns the focus to healthcare. I think if he's been talking about he's going to negotiate deals with big pharma, it's going to be super duper better than ever. If it's going to be, it needs to be. And I think that would go a long way towards paving the way. Instead of just completely scrapping Obamacare, I've never understood. I've worked in the insurance industry all my life, and I've never understood the idea that in a modern era, a group with 250 people, they can bring you in, add you on, and pre-existing doesn't matter. There's no waiting period, but if you've got 25 people, you got to wait 90 days, and it affects all the rates. And it doesn't. We need to just do our analysis on 250 plus 25 people, 275 people, give them all the same rate. It's the system is rigged to take advantage of the small business owner. Well, you've got 10 employees. If 3 of y'all get cancer, there's no way your premium pays for your people. No, but the county has 90,000 people, and if 4 of us get cancer, then it's spread out over 90,000 people. The rating is what kills them, not the accessibility. So I think that's something the president, pre-existing conditions, you should be able to travel from employer to employer. And if I have cancer and I decide to take a different job, it shouldn't penalize the employer that says, I want your skill set, but I can't hire you because it'll kill my health insurance rates.
It shouldn't penalize you because you have cancer.
Me either because I have cancer. I think there's a way to work around pre-existing conditions and give maybe you give people points. I'm just saying you've got so many points. If you're healthy, if you're on blood pressure, you've got 1 point. If you've got cancer, you've got 3 points. And businesses get so many points allowed in order to stay within a certain. But it's very difficult. It's hard to say.
We're already fixing healthcare. We're not even into the next year.
Yeah, but Andy, if you and I are equal, although you'd be smarter, I understand that. But if you and I are equal applicants for a position, it shouldn't ever come down to our overall health. I like Andy. He's in better shape. Let's hire him. I don't know about that. That's discrimination, So I don't know how you do it. It's not an easy fix. I could just as easily argue the other side of that. Why wouldn't I take the healthy person? Tell the fat guy to make a commitment to himself. But so what are your plans the next couple of days? You're in D.C. doing the people's business. Right? And it would be
therein lies the rub.
It would be very odd if a guy who's led, and these are those rural eastern seaboard, if you will, side of Pennsylvania where he's been a star. It's just incredible to think that all of a sudden that Biden's going to get, 1.4 million out of 2 million votes. I just don't believe it. Mathematically, it's impossible.
Oh, I don't think so either.
You got to love that Trump carried Mississippi. And you know, I mean, when you say, tell me 5 things about Mississippi, about third or fourth would be black. And this deep South voted for Trump. That tells you something about what
the
his
BS
policies,
being spewed.
yeah, and what his policies have done for Black America. So,
well, Andy, I'm glad you're safe, man. That's the key thing for me. But final question: did you see anything that might have raised, got your spidey senses tingling on the poll in the polls?
I saw a brunette from Schenectady.
Yeah.
Well, when you leave D.C., you can go on over to Colorado, and I think Oregon. You can have, decriminalized heroin, cocaine, and LSD. Right, then come on home.
All right. Sounds good, man.
Be
Safe travels
out there,
home.
brother.
Thanks for the update. Appreciate it. You too.
Thank you, man. There's Sheriff Carl Bowen checking in from DeWitt County.
Let's take our first and second break.
All right, let's do that.
Allen's Record Service, 578-6300.
Thank you.
The only number you need, the only number you should ever have handy when and if you need a record.
A job Allen can't do. He cannot rescue the Biden campaign. 578-6300. The VCS Company's Rocket Oilfield Services, the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer, all part of the Hartman Communication Empire, right there off Kerr Boulevard, just inside the loop off Main. It's easy.
Chesnick Furniture Company, right there at 116 West One Lynn. They've only been there for 70 years. They're not going anywhere.
The other 30, they were just
around the corner.
Parts of downtown Victoria. Yeah. 116 West One Lynn, corner of One Lynn and Bridge.
50% off all furniture right now at Chesnick Furniture Company as they celebrate their 100th anniversary.
That's crazy, isn't it? 100 years.
I can't.
Colorado Wednesday. Get by Veracruz
today.
Too. Woo. Get in there. The weather's cooperative. It'll probably be in the mid-70s when you go in there today. Probably don't wear your toque, but you can.
No, I don't wear my toque. Might put my mucklucks on though.
Wow, love it when you talk Canadian. Get into Veracruz today, folks. You'll be thrilled with everything, whether it's taco salad, fajita tacos al carbon, whatever you want.
You want to pre-order that enchilada casserole for the weekend? 576-6015 is the number to call.
There you go. Razor IT Solutions. JP Hull and his team will help you with your analytics. They'll help you understand how to protect your data. They'll help you monetize your Facebook and websites. It's what they do. They capitalize. They turn your hobby into business. You want to raise money for an event? Get with JP. He can do it.
The Ansonover dealership, since 1926, they've been selling Victoria and the surrounding area. Chevrolets, over the years, they added Mazda, Mitsubishi, Cadillac to their stable.
Great pre-owned, the premier pre-owned lot in town. With all makes and models on that.
Yeah, they'll and if they don't have it, they'll find you the exact model you're looking for.
Exactly. Plus, they'll service all makes and models, and they have a great paint and body shop. Let's save the rest, including we'll save White Trash Services. Pat McDonald checks in. Will and Pat are eventually going to close up Days Gone By. And so, in fact, right now, now is the time for you to go buy Days Gone By and give Pat McDonald a would you take? Would you take $250 for both of those? She'll say, maybe. Let's talk about it. They're closing up, and a number of factors. I know they both battled COVID, tough economic woes and all that. But Days Gone By is a great place, and to be honest, they've earned it. They want to retire and chill. Good for them.
Yep, this is the last week.
Pat says this is the last week, so get by there.
There was checking in. Lorena Bargenbrook checking in.
You did that pretty good.
I hope I got it right.
You did it right. Did you that it's Bargenbrook?
Yeah.
You didn't say Bargenbrook,
No,
did you?
No.
It's not. Is it Czech?
No, you know what? I'm thinking that might be
German.
No, maybe more Yugoslavian. Yugoslavian.
I saw nothing. Could be.
There's Carl Bowen checking in. Congratulations to you, sir, winning the DeWitt County Sheriff's election.
Yeah, you want to get into your garbage now? Let's just go off a quick list of people that we've had on the show. Okay, so
Chip Roy,
Cha-Ching wins his congressional district.
Yep.
Michael Cloud,
Cha-Ching
wins his
congressional district. Our congressional
district.
Jeannie Morrison has been on the show.
Wins. Lois Colcourse won. She hasn't been on the show. She didn't need us.
Mark Myers.
Cha-ching
wins Lavaca County judge. Been on the show.
Roy Boyd officially voted in as sheriff of Goliad County, and cha-ching has been on the show. Yep. Justin Marr received a whole bunch of votes yesterday in an uncontested race after being on our show.
Cha-ching.
So basically, everybody who's on our show
wins.
Yeah.
There's one outlier.
Mm-hmm.
Standing to my left.
Yeah. I was on the show.
Still are.
I didn't win. But I'm the only one.
You're the only one.
So maybe I'm better as a kingmaker than as a king.
Maybe so.
And I have a lot more fun because I don't have to worry about walking quorums. If I just say, hey, this is Victoria sucks, and here's what we need to do to fix it, I don't have to worry about the city manager calling me and yelling at me.
John Cornyn has not been on the show.
No, John Cornyn won, and I think if I would have had John Cornyn on the show, I think I would have been forced to say, Johnny, when are you going to do something, man?
MJ Hager was his opponent. I heard somebody call it the tightest race John Cornyn's been in over 2 decades.
Yeah.
That was the problem with that statement. Over 2 decades. John, time to go, buddy.
Time to go.
Yeah.
I do find it interesting. I didn't have time or really inclination because I knew John Cornyn was going to win. I'd love for somebody to do some fact checking on this MJ Hager combat helicopter pilot, motorcycle riding. I just want to know how much of that is, I don't know. I want to know. Frank Mejia says he needs to show up. Frank, I'm not even sure that you meet the height requirement to run for office. This is a ride you may not take.
35 plus 36 inches tall to be president.
Right. You've got to be at least 35 years old and 36 inches tall.
So
Herb Cheese, no chance.
No, not a chance.
Bath, the plane.
So I don't want to say I told you so, but
you can. It's your show.
The numbers, even though Victoria County turned up and early voted, we ended up probably right about where we normally do for an election, 34,000 votes cast out of 58,000 registered voters, right about where we are normally. It's just everybody cast their ballots earlier.
Right.
Rather than on election day. I don't know. I didn't see any stories or see any reports of anybody waiting in lengthy lines yesterday. In fact, Bill Posey and I were talking a little bit off the air, and a lot of people sitting around at polling locations twiddling their thumbs because nobody was coming in.
True. No getting around it, though, folks. When you look at the cities that
James Kurth pointing out the next time he comes on the show, things will work out better.
Well, here's the deal. The problem that I have with Texas being as close as it was is that the big cities always end up being blue.
Yeah.
So San Antonio, Houston.
If the Californians ever start moving into the rural areas, then we're in trouble.
Right. But the problem is the cities are the places that are screwed up. And they're the places that are dominated by left leadership. I mean, Sylvester Turner showed up to vote in a horse-drawn carriage. Don't go theatrical. Just go to work, Sylvester. You're the mayor. Have some pride. Just go vote and go to work.
Anybody have a thought on the election?
BJ says our phones.
Yeah, it's not anymore.
It's not.
575-9509. But I'm really disappointed in the fact that, and again, every election is the election of our lifetime.
Right.
But this one seemed to have more to it, and it still does as far as the future direction of this country, whether we want to go full-blown socialist role or protect the things that have made America great. The individual spirit, the freedom to do what you want within constraints, and the American dream.
Well,
and to pursue it.
It is paramount that Americans understand that Kamala Harris said that being American means everybody gets to the same place. And no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't mean everybody ends up with the identical outcome. That is called socialism. Maybe even more communism.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, everybody needs the exact same opportunity. And you may say, well, you can't have the same opportunity with different outcomes. Yeah, you can. You can have the exact same opportunity, and that, by the way, is a moving mark. I believe that it's a journey, not a destination. We will never wake up and go, everybody has the same opportunity. It's something we have to strive for as individuals, as business owners, and as electeds.
Well, I mean, think about it. Two people have the same job. They're both qualified. They're hired. They get put in the same positions. One will rise because the destination for them was the job. Right? That's it. The other continues to work hard, strives, wants to run the company. They move up the chain. And then this person complains, well, why wasn't that me? Because we were both hired the same and we both have the same qualifications.
James Curtis points out that both he and Dwayne Stovall were on our show.
True. Okay.
Okay, we trumped that with Alan West.
Yes.
So Alan West was on our show. And by the way, did he or did he not concede credit to Wayne Carter for his election?
He did on the show.
As Republican chairperson. Absolutely.
But I continue to be disappointed with the turnout. As somebody who takes voting very seriously, who's somebody who had to sit on the sidelines waiting to be able to vote legally.
Hey, you and I could go over to Victoria College today. We could visit with our good friend, Ricky D. We could study CPR. And you and I could blow and pump and push on that.
That's all dummy. Compressions now. There's no more breath.
So we could do that all day. And that dummy's never going to get up and walk.
Nope.
I could tell you about James Kurth as a candidate, but that would be redundant.
You could tell me about the
doesn't matter how
40% of voters that don't want to vote.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, that's what I said as mayor. I was just a victim of a cruddy. My fan base was apathetic. I just had a lousy turnout. It's like A&M. We didn't lose the game. We ran out of time. Now I know if I ever run again, I'll scream for extended voting periods and mail-ins. And
your fan base turned out. You just didn't have enough of it.
I didn't have enough. Oh, did Maxine Waters win?
I think she did.
Oh man,
Sheila Jackson Lee won in a landslide.
Sheila Jackson Lee.
It's interesting.
He's a good candidate.
You want to talk gerrymandering? There's a district that over the years has been shaped and crafted just to protect Sheila Jackson Lee's ability to get reelected.
It used to be like in a certain part of Houston. Now it goes down and catches Fondy Recreational Center, so Akeem and all his buddies can vote. It's crazy town.
Yeah.
Houston's a mess, folks. I like having Houston at arm's length. It's good to be over there. There's places that Kendall lives in the Heights. It's a beautiful area. River Oaks and the Memorial area. It's beautiful. There's parts of that is just hell. You wouldn't want to live there.
No, and
they're Democrat.
You can trace it back to the outflow from New Orleans after Katrina.
No doubt about it.
Crime went up. I mean, that's the numbers are there.
The people that left Louisiana looking for refuge in Houston have stayed and ruined Houston. There's no getting around it. What else? Did we fact check Bill Posey? Did you hear Bill Posey's?
No, I tried, but there was nothing to fact check.
He's correct. He says it with such authority.
Well, and when he pulls his coat back a little bit and I see a gleaming piece of metal, what are you going to do? You're right, sir.
He's enjoyable, though. Yeah, Bill's got a great show. If you haven't already tuned in, 6:30, get you ready for us. And then yesterday, he just walked in. I don't know if it's a hint to us not to run over. Well, we're looking at we got 18 minutes now.
Yeah, he's early today.
But the Hall of Famer, Ralph Salazar, just came in. He and Brother Gary Moses yesterday were just playing, nostalgic old rock and roll. They play your Tejano favorites, but man, they played some Little River Band. They sent out a happy anniversary baby to HR and Lindsay Mallory.
Nice.
And we don't do that on this show.
No.
Too busy for that. But they had.
We don't have a license for all that music.
Right. Yeah, we'd love to play that music. Then they played some Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I don't remember what it was.
NFL trading deadline was yesterday as well. You think they planned that this year? Let's kind of sneak it in on election day.
Very happy. Remember that song?
Nah, I hated that song.
Really? Yeah. They got a great voice.
Not a fan of that one. Cowboys did not go get J.J. Watt. It was the big rumor over the weekend.
That was smart. Don't make symbolic gestures that
No.
don't help you win football games.
I was trolling my daughter, who's a Texan fan and a huge JJ Watt fan, with sending her the memes that were going around. But she wasn't happy, but
You know, JJ
she was
Watt.
almost in tears that JJ Watt was going to leave the Texans.
But if JJ Watt was getting sound advice, his handlers would say, ride this thing out. You're in the 4th largest city in the country. You're an iconic hero to every demographic in Houston. The blacks love him, the whites love him, the Hispanics love him. Stay there, go into the Hall of Fame, which you will, as a Houston Texan. He's a great civil servant. He's done tons to raise money. It would be as dumb as Drew Brees leaving the Saints to play one more year. That's just dumb.
You mean like Emmitt Smith going to the Cardinals?
Which Emmitt Smith said was
A mistake.
dumb. Yeah, he's like, oh, when I took that star off my helmet, I didn't really care anymore.
You mean like Franco Harris going to the Seahawks?
See, which nobody remembers. And J.J. Watt is clearly past his prime. And in his prime, he was hurt a lot. But when he was good, he was the best ever. So let him stay.
Yeah.
If he's smart, he will just stay in Houston and make a huge difference. Probably, I'm no kidding. I mean, J.J. Watt could probably run for governor.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesse Body Ventura did it.
Houston Texans listed as one of the losers of the trade deadline for not making a move that could have helped them because they don't have a pick, I think, in the 1st or 2nd round of this next draft.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're out of this season anyway.
Well, that was the point.
Yeah,
They could have made a
could
trade.
have gotten somebody.
Could have gotten somebody. They got
DeAndre Hopkins would have been a nice pickup.
Wow, they got a few receivers that probably could have been moved for draft picks or help, and they didn't do it.
Trey Molina says 476 votes. What's he talking about?
I don't know.
Okay, Trey Molina.
Pancho Villa, dude.
Oh, Pancho Villa got. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, they had an interesting. He said they had an interesting election, like 9 candidates for mayor in Corpus Christi.
Yeah, I'm sure that. What is his name down there?
Ricky De La Fuente, did he run for mayor down there too? He was running for everything else in this country.
Oh, the gentleman that is the mayor, I'm sure won. The gentleman that is the mayor has a moving company, and I'm just McComb. His name is McComb.
Red, related to
I
Red?
think it's Joe McComb.
Oh, not McComb.
So what you have to know about this guy is his son is the one, the McComb that is the mayor of Corpus. His son is the one whose family got washed away in Wimberley several years ago. You remember that?
Yes, I do remember.
The son is the one that survived hanging to a tree, trying to find his family, has gone on since then and is a master rescue person. He's helicopter trained. I mean, when they have, it would be common, these fires in California, that he would jump on a plane, fly out there and be involved in rescue. That's his tribute to his family.
Joe McComb.
Joe McComb, man. I'm sure he did win, right, Trey? I would think he would. He has the machine there.
Tommy Tuberville wins in Alabama. The ex-Auburn coach ran for Senate.
Yeah, didn't he coach at Texas Tech as well?
I think he did, yeah. That was considered an upset.
Like a flip.
Yeah, that was a flip.
Pete Sessions had that for a while, is that right?
No, Jeff Sessions had it.
Jeff Sessions, I meant.
Became Attorney General, and
Right.
then a special election, they filled it. They voted a Democrat in, and I think they quickly realized their mistake and voted Tommy Tuberville in as the new senator. I don't think you're going to see the Senate flip. So I think the Republicans will retain the Senate. I'm hearing.
Whether you have 3 or 4 seats in the House?
I think the Republicans are going to gain some.
In the House.
But not enough to flip it. So, the balance of power is going to stay where it is. So the president's going to have a tougher row to hoe this next time around to get things done.
Yeah, but he should be able to get the. And this is going to be a time where guys like Congressman Cloud can practice what they preach. This is a time for bipartisan cooperation, put together good bills. If you get them to the Senate and the Senate agrees, then Trump will sign them. I mean, it's a clear path to bipartisan teamwork if anybody cares about the American public, as opposed to drawing lines in the sand to set themselves up for the next election.
Well, and there's the thing. Trump won't be elected next time around.
Right.
So you're not going to have somebody
Jordan
that
will.
causes people to cry at the simple sight of him, like Nancy Pelosi. So if she actually cares about the American people, which we know she doesn't, so let's not even pretend that's the case.
Exactly.
But let's just pretend she does. And she wants to get stuff done for Americans. It shouldn't be a problem this time around because the Trump derangement syndrome should be waning these next 4 years.
It's amazing to me how many Mitch McConnell got reelected yesterday.
Wasn't the big battle they had said?
Yeah, he's in Kentucky.
Same thing in, where was the other one? South Carolina, Lindsey Graham. I think it was a tougher
They
fight, but it
spent
wasn't.
$80 million trying to unseat Lindsey Graham.
It's
I don't
interesting.
particularly like Lindsey Graham.
I'm not a big fan either. But there's the interesting rub. The Dems are quick to say, well, with all that money, you could have done this with that money. You just spent $80 million trying to unseat a senator in South Carolina.
Right.
What could you have done with that $80 million to help the average American? Because a Senate seat in South Carolina doesn't help the average American.
Exactly.
There's the hypocrisy on display. They want the power.
Adam Sugar says Donald Trump Jr. in 24. I can tell you without any reservation, there is no chance that I would vote for Donald Trump Jr. in 2024. I would vote potentially for Jim Jordan. I could see Jim Jordan's from Ohio, I think. Is that correct, Ash?
Yeah.
To see Jim Jordan and the local Dan Crenshaw maybe on a ticket, Ohio and Texas. It'd be fantastic if we could find, much like Lot searching for one believer in Sodom and Gomorrah, if we could find one conservative person in California and get them on the ticket.
There's a few. They just can't win because of the way they're set up. It's everybody in the primaries, and they take the top 2 or 3, and they go on to the ballot.
Right.
And it's not by party, but it tends to all be Democrats. Because if you get outside of LA, San Francisco, Oakland, San Diego, rural California is very conservative. I'm trying to see what happened with Kim Klacik in Maryland yesterday.
Big J Nelson says Candace Owens. She is certainly a voice. My only thought on Candace Owens is this. If you read...
Kim Klacik didn't win. She spent a lot of money and only got 30% of the vote in Maryland. That's too bad.
Rick Ocasek win? If you read Candace Owens, if you don't watch the fact that it's a young, educated, black female, if you read Candace Owens in print, it's no different than Wade and Carter. The message is nothing unique. The message is nothing exciting. It's the messenger that makes you go, whoa, 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 that's a black woman saying that. That's a black woman saying, hey, Donald Trump derangement syndrome is real, and Donald Trump has done more for the black community than anybody. And she has inherent credibility because she lives it, but her message is not, it doesn't resonate with me as anything original. It's just that she happens to be black. The messenger is black. If I say it, I'm labeled a racist. If she says it, she's viewed as a sage. The message is the truth, no matter who says it. With that said,
well, no,
I could vote
if she
for her.
says it, she's an Uncle Tom because
She's
the
been
Democrat,
labeled such.
because she doesn't spew the talking points of the Democrat Party.
Sure, I could see her. Yeah,
Kim Klacik raised about $8 million for her congressional seat in Maryland, and again, the same question could be asked, but I would argue that when you look at her congressional district, that was money that would have actually gone to helping the people in that district. They voted for the same BS that's been going on in Baltimore for a long time.
And Trump called that years ago. Terrible place. James Kerr is still fixated on my campaign, says just because someone has a flappy mouth doesn't mean they'd be a good administrator. That sounds like the book of Proverbs, Proverbs 18:18. He with flappy mouth may not be.
I thought that was on a fortune cookie.
That was like God's attempt at Yoda. You know, flappy mouth he may have, administrator he may not be. It was God as Yoda, which will be in the upcoming Star Wars trilogy, where God is actually the father of Darth, who is the father of Han Solo.
Tell you someone who can talk the talk and walk the walk. It's BJ Nelson with White Trash Services.
550-1826. That's the number you need when you need right now personal, customized refuse pickup.
I believe Scott is at the door waiting for the UPS store to open so they can get their bid to the city in time,
Absolutely.
delivered, traceable.
They have tried to file for an extension. They've known about it for 3 years, but they just have now decided to wait.
No. They're not voting by mail.
Okay. All right. They're going to get it turned in. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't take it in there by hand. Say, here it is. You put it in the hand of Daryl Lesack and say, enjoy.
I don't know that you can do that anymore.
Feast upon my refuse.
Because too many times those in-hand deliveries were accompanied by an envelope of cash.
A sack of 20s?
Yeah. So I don't think you can do that anymore.
There you go.
Gray Barn Design. Check them out on Facebook.
The Gray Barn. Don't be
Barn.
fooled by Gray Barn Design.
No, don't be fooled
by the Gray Barn. 920-6803. Ash doesn't know his wife's company.
No, I don't.
920-6803. The Gray Barn. Reach out to Cheryl. Let her make your next party memorable. All you need to have a successful party is a good venue, the right decorations,
and lots of free booze,
the great catering, and a flyby by Brother Gary Moses. And Gary is available. Parties, bar mitzvahs, quinceañeras, he does them all. Multilingual, and he'll eat anything on the buffet. He doesn't have any special dietary needs. He'll eat it all. Hang on, we have a caller.
Good morning, caller.
Who we got?
BJ, how are you?
You sound rested and ready.
You never would have known.
Right. He pulled an FDR. Yeah, he
won North Carolina 11. So, yeah.
I don't understand why people turn these politicos into icons and just continue to reelect them just because they've always been there.
And look at her district. What has improved in that district since she's been there, except for her pocketbook and her wardrobe?
It's just gone down ever since she's been there. Yeah.
There's been no improvement in her district as long as she's been there.
So Lorena Bargenbrook just said, thank you for the great service out in Inez White Trash Services. So great job out there. We
promoted their testimonials.
We promoted yesterday the Cobra cleanup and the idea that you guys are going to have a big roll off out there for people to drop everything. Well, it's fantastic. You guys are always giving back to the community. And I know that Scott's busy between turning in the city bid, and then he's got the Go Texan event. What's the latest update on the Go Texan?
I'm emceeing.
Brother Gary's emceeing it. Yeah, he's the MC. Perfect.
You're busy. You're busy.
Well, hey, thanks for calling and sharing the North Carolina news. Yes, ma'am. Have a great day. Have a trash-tastic day.
Thanks, BJ.
Thank you. Bye-bye. You know, she did a really fine job the other day as Bill Posey's first co-host. They did a great job. She has a instant chemistry. You know, she's good.
Bill's got more guts than we do. He'll take that show on by himself.
Oh yeah, he's not scared.
No,
and
I am.
Folks, you should be listening at 6:30 in the morning to Bill Posey. So hey, partner, we're going to do our part to give all the time to the Hall of Famer and Brother Gary.
Well, we still got 2 more sponsors we got to talk about. Wentz Services for all your electrical needs.
Oh, right now the big deal. There's corporate incentives right now. You need to look into this. I don't know all the details. There's big time depreciation and tax consideration to where you can get solar panels on a corporate building you own. It works. The numbers work. for business owners, to the point that Carl Wentz said, I ran the numbers. I'm putting the same panels on my own building because I get to take a 37% depreciation, I think, the first year, and I get 26% off for this and that. And he said, after the third year, you've paid for yourself with tax credits. It's money you were going to give to the government, and instead you get to write it off dollar for dollar off your taxes up to like 26% of the cost.
Wow.
And he says by the end of the third year, must mean us right in there, third, fourth year, you're breaking even. So if you own a building and you're going to be there for the next 5 years, basically Carl says, hey, I can show you how this thing will pay for itself with tax credits.
All right, give Wind Services a call.
Yeah, that's what it is. And they now have an ability for you to store that power with a battery backup.
James Kerr, there's some ag grants out there for solar on your ranch as well.
There you go. Reach out to Wind Services. And don't forget, whether you've got a pool, a patio, a ugly garage, whatever you want to do, sidewalks, the porches, they do it all. USA Concrete Coatings. Charlie Garcia and his group will come out. They'll measure up and straighten up your look. It'll tighten up your house, give it a whole new, fresh look.
It will.
Somebody up there said thank you for something. Did you want to read that? I think it's like 2 or 3 up. Like, there you go, right there. Okay,
one you already read,
that. Yeah, that's perfect. We got that. So, top of the hour, it's like Thursday in Newfoundland.
Look, my mom's just checking in time for us to check out.
Hello, Aunt
Good
Tina.
morning, Mom.
Hope you're doing well, ma'am. We will talk to you guys soon. Stay tuned for Brother Gary and Ralph Salazar.
And we'll see you all mañana with no election decided yet.
Right? Great music.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
If you're paid programming and KHFC assumes no responsibility for its content, and the Wade and Carter Show bears all responsibilities for their opinions and guests on their show.
Yes, sir. Y'all were good yesterday.
We had fun too.
Yes. I know you get to move it a little quick. It's hard for Ralph to keep up.
Forgot to mute the Facebook page.
Right?
What about what they say?
Oh, they were trying to. The rumor was that they might trade him to Dallas, and I was like, oh no. He can help